What is the most awkward moment you've experienced in public places? One time, I decided to go to the supermarket after work to buy something for dinner. I was quite tired, so I was on autopilot, just gathering the usual items. After a few minutes of wandering the aisles, I found the produce section, where a man was standing. He looked busy picking out vegetables, and losing a bit of patience, I decided to just go around him and grab what I needed. I reached out, grabbed a bag of salad, and immediately realized something was off. When I finally looked up, I saw that this man was actually not a man at all. It was a mannequin. I was standing in front of a mannequin, talking about my choice of salad. Yes, I do that sometimes, and even moving it around while trying to grab vegetables. And the worst part was that the supermarket staff seemed to have witnessed the whole thing because I heard someone laughing nearby. I tried to save face and moved on, but now I always check to see if there's a person in front of me or just a mannequin before talking about salad. This happened a few years ago when I decided to try yoga for the first time. My friend was really into it and invited me to a class, saying it would be a great way to relax and relieve stress. Well, I thought, why not? I bought a new workout outfit, prepared a water bottle, and went to my first class. It all started off quite calmly. I tried to mimic all the moves the instructor was demonstrating, even though my flexibility left much to be desired. And then we reached the downward dog pose. I was doing my best to execute it as neatly as I could, but as I was moving, I felt my pants at the knees stretch a bit. At first, it seemed minor, but after a few seconds, I realized it wasn't just a stretch of the fabric. It was a full-blown tear. I literally ripped my workout pants in the middle of the class. And it wasn't just a small tear. It ripped all the way from the knee to the thigh. I stood there in this awkward position, trying to hide the fact that my pants no longer existed as a cohesive piece of clothing. The problem was, doing yoga without pants is a bit unethical. Of course, I pretended everything was fine, neatly gathered my things, quietly made my way to the exit, and never returned to that class again. But now, every time I see yoga on TV, I can't help but think of that day. One day, I found myself stuck in an elevator with a few other people. I was on my way to a job interview, wearing my best suit, feeling confident and ready to impress. The elevator was quite cramped, and I could feel the tension in the air. Everyone was trying to act normal, but you could tell that everyone was a bit uncomfortable. As we reached the 4th floor, the elevator suddenly jolted to a stop. The lights flickered, and a tense silence filled the cabin. I glanced at my watch, realizing I would be late for my interview if we didn't get moving soon. Everyone began to shift uncomfortably, and the awkwardness escalated. In an attempt to lighten the mood, I said, "Well, at least we're all in this together, right? Nothing like a little elevator bonding time." A nervous chuckle spread through the group, but I could tell they were still anxious. Trying to ease the situation further, I added, "You know, I've heard that if you sing, it can help pass the time during awkward moments." To my surprise, one of the guys, trying to be brave, started humming a tune. I decided to join in, and soon we began to sing together. At first, it was just a few soft notes, but soon we started to engage more voices. Someone from the corner, a woman, joined in and began singing a popular song that everyone knew well. Everyone forgot about the tension, and the elevator suddenly transformed into a small concert hall. Our little musical performance lasted for a few minutes. As a few more strangers joined our impromptu show, we laughed, harmonized with each other, and eventually even started dancing. Someone joked that in our situation we should get a recording contract, and everyone laughed. But then, unfortunately, reality reminded us of itself. The elevator suddenly jolted again, and we felt it starting to move. Our hearts began to race, and the tension returned. I peeked out of the elevator window and saw that people were already waiting on the floor. Thankfully, they had pressed the call button. When the elevator stopped on the 4th floor, the doors opened, and staff were waiting for us. On the faces of the people standing by the doors, surprised smiles appeared. "What just happened in there?" one woman asked, observing our bewildered expressions. "We just decided that a little singing was the best way to handle the awkwardness," I replied, trying to maintain the light mood. As we exited the elevator, I felt like we had all somehow become closer. I turned to my new acquaintances and said, "Thank you for this unforgettable ride. I hope we all receive good news soon." Everyone smiled, and I realized that regardless of the outcome of my interview, this day had already become special thanks to our spontaneous singing session in the elevator. This story took place during my first date with a girl I met through an app. We chose a trendy restaurant, and I was really trying to impress her. I picked this place because of its reputation, great atmosphere, and delicious food. I hoped everything would go smoothly and that a spark would ignite between us. When I arrived, I confidently approached the table. The girl was even more beautiful than in her pictures. We started chatting, and at first, everything was going wonderfully. I was trying to be witty, and it seemed she enjoyed my jokes. We laughed, exchanged glances, and I felt there was chemistry between us. But then, when the waiter brought dessert, I decided to show off my skills. I took a small spoonful of tiramisu and attempted to catch it in midair, trying to look impressive. But at that moment, when I swiped the spoon, the dessert flew off and landed right on my date. The entire restaurant suddenly fell silent, and I watched in horror as chunks of tiramisu stuck to her dress. At first, she was in shock, but then she started to laugh. I began to quickly apologize, but she raised her hand, calming me down. In that moment, I realized that in this situation, I had no choice but to laugh along with her. The waiter, who rushed over with napkins, couldn't hold back his laughter either. I decided it was best to play along with the situation. With a smile, I turned to the girl and said, "Well, now I definitely know you're the sweetest girl in the restaurant." This sparked even more laughter, and everyone joined in. I tried to maintain a serious demeanor, but I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Finally, I managed to clean up the mess, and everyone returned to their meals. I sat back down, still feeling my cheeks burning. However, my thoughts about becoming the dessert disaster stayed with me for a long time. The next time I went to that restaurant, people recognized me, and one guy, smiling, said, "Hey, where's your tiramisu?" This became a running joke among my friends, and I always remember that hilarious incident on the date. I learned that sometimes it's better to laugh at yourself than to feel embarrassed. This story took place at the library, where I went to prepare for an important exam. I always chose cozy corners for studying, where I could focus on my books and questions. That day, I entered the library, hoping to find a quiet spot, but unfortunately, it was crowded. I picked a corner table where several students were already sitting, quietly discussing their preparations. While I was studying, I realized I needed to take a little break to stretch and clear my mind. I got up from my seat and started browsing the shelves. At that moment, my bag opened up, and my signaling system for girls fell out. I panicked, trying to shove it back into my bag, but this led to the system starting to beep like an alarm. The entire hall suddenly fell silent, and all eyes were on me. I felt my cheeks flush and tried to quickly turn off the device, but instead, I activated the Make More Sounds mode. I attempted to maintain my dignity, but the laughter around me grew louder. I decided that it would be better to distract attention from myself and address the other students, saying, "Sorry, this is my new study trick." In response, everyone burst into laughter. One of the guys said, "If that's your trick, I need one too." I was trying to look serious, but I really couldn't hold back my laughter. Everyone started joking that I should come to every class with my trick. Finally, I managed to turn off the alarm, and everyone returned to their books. I sat back down at my spot, still feeling my face heat up. But my thoughts about being the library alarm stayed with me for a long time. The next time I came to the library, everyone recognized me, and one guy, smiling, asked, "Hey, where's your signaling system?" This became a joke among all the students, and I always remember that funny incident in the library. I realized that sometimes it's better to laugh at yourself than to be embarrassed. My story happened during a subway trip. I was heading to work as usual, reading something on my phone when I felt it was time to get off at my stop. The problem was that I got so engrossed in the article that I missed my stop. Getting off at the next one, I thought it wasn't a big deal. I would just cross to the other side and go back. I went down to the platform and saw that there were a few minutes left until the train arrived. Deciding to refresh myself a bit, I noticed a vending machine nearby. I put in some money, selected my water bottle, but the machine decided to play a joke on me. It simply didn't dispense the water. I pressed the buttons, but the machine was silent. Frustrated, I started banging on it, but then I felt all the people around me staring. I gave up, turned back to the platform, and at that moment my train arrived. I ran towards it, but the doors started closing. I leaped forward, trying to make it, but the doors were closing too quickly. I only managed to get one leg inside. As a result, I found myself in a pretty funny and awkward position. One leg in the train, the other on the platform, and the doors cruelly squished my bag. I had to wait for the train to open its doors again. The people in the car were already looking at me with sympathy or stifled laughter. Eventually, the doors opened and I got on, but I spent the rest of the ride as red as a tomato. trying not to look at the other passengers. Now, I always leave enough time for stops to avoid such adventures. My story involves a trip to a restaurant on a date. I invited a girl I met through a dating app, and we decided to eat at one of the best restaurants in town. Everything was wonderful. The atmosphere, the food, the conversation. But at one point, when the waiter brought the dessert, I thought I'd make a little joke to lighten the mood. Taking my first bite of dessert seemed too ordinary, so I tried to catch it with my fork in midair. It looked funny until, unfortunately, I missed and sent the dessert straight onto the white shirt of the waiter standing nearby. And it wasn't just a small piece of cake. It was a huge spoonful of tiramisu that left a massive chocolate stain on his shirt. The waiter was initially shocked, but quickly composed himself and said with a smile, "Looks like someone is trying to add a bit of style to my outfit." The girl laughed, and I felt myself turning red. But fortunately, the waiter was incredibly nice and didn't make a big deal out of it. We continued our date, but now every time I see tiramisu on the menu, I nervously chuckle. This story happened during one of my visits to the gym. I was in a great mood, ready for a productive workout. I always make it a habit to bring my water bottle because you can't go without it when you're actively working out. That day, I decided to buy a new bottle because the old one looked pretty worn out. I walked into the gym, filled my bottle with water, and started my workout. After a lengthy warm-up, I moved on to the main exercises. I ran on the treadmill, then worked on my upper body muscles, and everything was going perfectly. I was so focused that I forgot about everything else around me. After an intense workout, I decided to take a break. Feeling thirsty, I walked over to the table where water bottles were placed. I quickly glanced at the table, and all the bottles looked similar. Without thinking, I picked one up, opened it, and started drinking, not realizing it wasn't my bottle. As soon as I took the first sip, I noticed the taste was very strange. I looked at the label and realized it was an energy drink, not plain water. I tried to hold back my surprise, but found the taste awful, too sweet and syrupy. I nearly choked and tried to maintain my composure while everyone else in the gym stared at me in disbelief. I attempted to play it cool, but my embarrassment peaked when my friend, who was also working out in the gym, saw me with the bottle and started laughing. He couldn't contain himself, asking, "Oh, did you enjoy your new water?" This only added to my embarrassment, and I quickly tried to explain the situation. My friends found this story hilarious, and now they always bring it up whenever I try to look serious in the gym. They even started joking that I was the new energy drink fan. Every time I go to the gym now, I hear someone shout, "Don't forget your energy drink." It became part of my life, and I can't help but smile when I think about this situation. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any exciting new content. Hit the notification bell to get alerts for every new video. That way, you'll always stay up to date with all the latest updates. Thank you for your support, and see you in the next video.